Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. Making you healthier one bite at a time. Tip with Toni. Woo.
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Toni podcast. I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. The grocery store can be a very confusing place. I used to remember going down the cereal aisle and thinking, holy moly, how much cereal options are there? When you go to the bread aisle, there's so many different breads to choose from. Even ice cream and dairy-free ice cream and all these different alternatives are out there now. But the main thing that I think has been growing rapidly over the past few years and actually is now becoming the new thing to be confused about is your milk. Which milk should you drink? It used to be that everybody drank cow's milk, and then, trendy things came and we wanted to lose weight and we realized, oh, there's 2% milk. There's reduced fat milk, which is 2%. There's low-fat milk, which is 1%. There's fat-free milk, which is skim milk, which is 0%. And with those milks, basically, you're getting the same amount of protein, same amount of calcium and vitamin D that's been fortified, added back into it, but you're getting less fat, so therefore less calories per serving. So I typically tell someone if they're already a milk drinker and they're drinking cow's milk, to just reduce slowly over time to about 2% or 1%. I know some people believe that you should have the whole thing. Obviously, we need to take a look at the rest of the diet. And that's what I wanted to talk about today is what are the things to consider when deciding to choose your milk option? Now, obviously, one of the things to consider is that if you are lactose intolerant or if you are allergic to dairy or sensitive to dairy, then you should not have cow's milk because cow's milk has lactose. It is considered a dairy product. And if your body's not agreeing to it, then we definitely want to choose an alternative. The first alternative I think a lot of people go to is almond milk. And I personally drink almond milk, and I actually really enjoy it. Now, here's the thing. It's not really milk. It's mostly almond water. It actually takes 23 gallons of water to produce a single ounce of almond milk. And that's actually why now a lot of people are realizing maybe I want to try a different milk because it's not really environmentally friendly. It's not what we call sustainable. 23 gallons of water to produce an ounce of almond milk. That's actually crazy. And it's led me to kind of research a little bit more to look at other milks because I want to be healthy, but I also want to be environmentally conscious. And now this is where everyone is this is individualized to the person. If almond milk is your go-to, I don't want you to feel guilty about it because to be honest, right now, it's still my go-to. It's something I'm conscious of, it's something I'm aware of, and it's something I might swap out. But at the same time, when you have limitations in your diet or you have a specific goal, we can't really be concerned about everything because if we are, then we are going to really be at a loss. There's not going to be anything to have because you could argue one's better than the other any which way you go about it. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to do a dairy-free alternative, one thing you want to make sure is that it is still enriched with calcium or vitamin D because that's the purpose of why we drink milk, also for flavor and texture and taste for some. But making sure that it's enriched with vitamin D and calcium and it's not just the alternative milk product without that. Another thing to consider is if it's sweetened. So non-dairy milks are usually either sweetened, original, or unsweetened. I try to go for the unsweetened most often. If you are going to get it sweetened, just make sure that the sugar is under double digits. That's a pretty standard formula I have people to look at. So when taking a look at the nutrition facts label, we want the sugar to be less than double digits. The fat content is something to consider. Even in plant-based milks, something like a coconut milk is going to have a little bit higher fat. Now, we can argue it's healthy fat or non-healthy fat. That's still an ongoing argument in the nutrition world. But obviously, these things are also going to provide a different sort of flavor as well. So that's something to consider. Calories, usually something like an unsweetened almond milk is only 30 calories per cup, which is a great alternative because even skim milk is 80 calories per cup. And I truly believe when I'm coaching my clients, I teach them that every little bit matters. And if we can make little swaps of your day to day, you can save calories every day. And we do that with a little bit with your coffee, a little bit with your breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks. By the end of the day, you could be saving up to 500 to 1,000 calories. And if you do that every day, that's how we lose weight, right? So it's really, really, I do believe every little bit helps. Sodium is something to consider. Sometimes the unsweetened milks are higher in sodium, not just unsweetened, just the plant-based milks in general. And then if you're someone who has high blood pressure, that might be something to take a look at, but I wouldn't be too concerned with that, but it is something that I definitely wanted to make a note of. Even regular milk actually has sodium too. So it's just something to consider. We don't always think of milk with salt. Preservatives are something else. I know a lot of people, I've gotten this question before in the private Facebook community of the Healthy Lifestyle Support Group, and wanting to have a milk that doesn't have a ton of preservatives. Now, once again, I believe that a little bit of preservatives is not the worst thing. It really is the full diet in general. So this is where we can get a little bit crazy over one food, one item. It's not just the milk that's making or breaking your dietary choices. And if the most of your diet is really non-processed, and this helps you to get in that calcium, get in that vitamin D, then I think that a little bit of preservatives is okay. With that being said, there's actually a machine. It's called the Almond Cow, and you can actually make your own almond milk, or honestly any nut-based milk from home. So the other nut-based milks we didn't talk about today are things like there's cashew milk, there's hemp seed milk, there's flax milk. So those are technically seeds. But those are great alternatives as well. And so you can actually make those at home if you have a machine. It's called the Almond Cow. They're usually under $200. You could probably find it on Amazon. And it'll probably save you a lot of money in the long run. Is it a little bit of extra work? Absolutely. You still have to buy the nuts or the seeds, and it takes a little bit of time. But if you're someone who's concerned about the preservatives, making it from home is a really good idea. Also, you're not going to use as much water. There's no way you're going to use 23 gallons of water per ounce, like not even a little bit. So I think that's a really great thing. Definitely something I'm leaning towards. I know one of my clients uses it. If you're not quite sure how to use it, you can go on YouTube. It'll explain it further. One thing to note about those is they're not going to be fortified with the calcium and vitamin D, but that's also where you might want to take a look at your nutrition and see where there's other areas in which you could incorporate that calcium and that vitamin D. Okay, so there's certain nutrients like the egg yolk has vitamin D, calcium you can find in your leafy greens, some of your things like white beans, and there's definitely other alternatives. Yogurt, if you're not someone who's dairy free, but there's also, now there's dairy-free yogurts as well, which we'd want to look at the sugar and stuff like that. So that's probably another episode of picking your best yogurt. So I know it can be really confusing. It can be really overwhelming. I hope that this helped you understand a little bit about the things to look for. Always, always, always remember that you are an individual. Your needs are different than everybody else's, and your values are different than everybody else's, and that's okay. If you're not someone who's environmentally conscious, environmentally friendly, and you're more focused on improving your health and wellness, I would say let's start there. Down the line, I'm in that position, guys. I start with healthy eating first. I think I'm at the point where I really need to start taking responsibility for other things, like environmental concerns and preparing more food at home and stuff like that. And now at this point in my life, as busy as I am, I do work from home. So it's a little bit easier for me versus when you're on the hustle and bustle. It's like to make your own almond milk or just to buy unsweetened almond milk. obviously that's going to be a better alternative than maybe if you're allergic or sensitive to dairy and you keep putting dairy into your system and it's bothering you. So I hope that gave you a little bit more clarity. If you have any additional questions, email me, tipswithtoni@gmail.com. And if you are not already subscribed to the podcast, please subscribe. It allows other people to find it. Write a positive review, give it a 5-star rating, screenshot this episode, share it on your story, tag me, tag the Tips with Toni podcast on Instagram or Facebook. Let me know that this was helpful for you, it resonated with you. And if you were super inspired and you feel like somebody can benefit from listening to this and would get a lot of value and education from it, please share it with them. It would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for listening. As always, this is Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.